I am with Sergeant Cooper from the Deer Park Police Department, and we're going to talk a little bit about the very tragic subject of active shooters. In the last week or two, there's been two major ones. Sergeant Cooper, what can you tell me about active shooters? What does that exactly mean from a law enforcement perspective?
Well, active shooter from a law enforcement perspective is generally going to be defined as one or more individuals on a homicidal spree using any type of deadly weapon, and their main focus is not going to be commission of any particular crime other than aggravated assault or a homicidal offense.
Okay. How many active shooter events have happened in the last year in this country?
So far in 2019, I believe 5 active shooter events have occurred, and that's based on the definition, or should I say mass shooting events, of 4 or more victims, not including the perpetrator themselves, excluding things such as gang violence and shootings that must be in a publicly accessible place. Active shooters can extend, in some people's definition, to include workplace shootings, domestic violence situations where 1 or 2 individuals are targeted and murdered. I believe we really prefer, in this context, to focus on mass shootings.
So, in the state of Texas, how many events like these have happened in the last year?
In the last year, there's been 1 mass shooting in Texas.
Okay, and that was the one recently, I guess it's last weekend in El Paso.
Last weekend in El Paso is correct.
So with all these events, what seems to be the common denominators across whether it's a school shooting or someone going into Walmart or something like that? Are there common denominators, or are they unique in different ways?
Each one's going to be unique in its own right. If you want to list common denominators between them, that is generally an assemblage of people with a relative unlikelihood of them being armed or within a hardened target. Security is generally lower where these types of violators choose to do their deed.
Political climate, you almost can't listen to one of these stories without one side blaming the other. Do you think that when there's a sort of a heightened sense of politics in the media, do you think that really plays into people who might want to perpetrate such crimes, or is it a lot of times these people may have this in their mind way ahead of time? I mean, what do you think politics and social banter, how do you think those affect these events?
Certainly, I don't know that I would qualify it as being politically motivated. These events are frightening. They occur without warning and often at the most unthinkable of places. But the sensationalistic coverage from one end of the world to the other almost immediately certainly gives a spotlight or a worldwide stage for those that are considering engaging in this type of activity to perpetrate their killings. If one were to look at it from the perspective of simply politically based, I think you would find that there are probably a certain number of terror attacks and mass shootings that are carried out by individuals that are motivated for political reasons.
Sure.
Most are carried out for notoriety, personal notoriety.
Does there seem to be any geographic correlation to these events? Is it purely random? Do these things seem to happen in more population-dense areas, or what seems to be the characteristics of these types of shootings?
More than anything, any assemblage of people, which is typically going to occur in your more populated areas, those places are going to be more prone to having some sort of an attack. The venues are changing. And I say that in that we look at going back to 1999 with the Columbine shooting.
Right.
The main focus was on schools. And while there are still school shootings, the school environment in and of itself has become a much more hardened environment for these types of events, not only from physical security and individual security with people, but also with detecting and reporting suspicious behavior. And, of course, we'll never know those that we intervene with early in this process if we actually did prevent such an attack. But we'd all like to think that early intervention does prevent some of these attacks.
Right. So with the upcoming school year within the next week or two, and how did you guys, working with the schools, sort of prepare yourself for any potential threats that may happen? Because unfortunately, we know that schools, as you just said, are common targets for people that want to perpetrate these crimes.
True. The schools and police departments really across the country have taken a number of steps and work with each other collaboratively to improve response time, notification, to increase security measures within the school, and that is both physical security measures as well as real on-the-ground people. I know here at Deer Park, we work closely with the school district, very closely, as a matter of fact, in contact with the school district nearly every day on some matter of some sort. Our officers are in the schools, and we're in a constant state of preparedness to respond to any type of event at one of our schools or within our city.
Right. So to folks that maybe they tune into the news and they hear these things, the things happening at Walmart or the movie theater, the one in Colorado, is there any way that people can prepare themselves any more than they normally, as far as being aware of your surroundings? I think that's kind of a given these days, that we're a little more watchful, but as you guys experience more of these events and learn more about what goes on, is there any information that you can give people that would maybe help them to be more prepared if something like this happens around them?
Yes, mental preparation ahead of time is going to improve your likelihood of survival and also allow you to perceive threats and steer away from them. In this case, we may be talking about active shooter type events, but it may be avoiding a robbery, maybe avoiding a vandalism by realizing that your car is parked in an area that would be more prone to vandalism, and recognizing that level of threat and maybe making an adjustment to prevent it. So mental preparation and a heightened state of awareness will increase your perception of threats, whatever they may be.
Is there anything that people can attend or cite or some kind of information they can go and learn from as far as dealing with this unfortunate new reality that we live in?
Yeah, there's a number of different venues for civilians to receive tactical type training. Obviously, I can't promote any particular one or any of them to speak of, but citizens who are willing to seek out that type of training that will certainly help them prepare themselves for the slim chance, but the possibility that they could find themselves in this type of situation. Local gun ranges, self-defense providers, martial artists, these types of trainings are all good for individuals. I would just caution that you do a little research on the particular providers that are giving this training, and just vet them through people who have been to the training to make sure it's the type of training you're looking for.
Okay, Sergeant Cooper, thank you for all the information you provided us on the active shooter situation in the country. We really appreciate the information.
Yes, sir.